record on the computer. And I'm going to share the screen and we'll get started here.
Okay, perfect.
Let's see. I think this is it. And we'll go to present from the beginning. All right. So, Claudia, do you see a screen that says Computer Literacy CIS 120 Week 2?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we're going to go over some items for Week 2.
Okay.
And the first thing I wanted to kind of review is what we're going to be, what the learning goals or learning objectives are for this week. Because sometimes I think we kind of forget, what in the heck am I doing? You know, what's my goal here? My daughter is moving into a new place and she's got so many things to do, and she has to stop and say, wait a minute, what am I doing here? Do I want to paint today? Do I want to clean? What is my goal? So today her goal was to paint her bedroom and clean the second bedroom so it's ready to paint tomorrow. So she's got some organized goals, because I'm telling you, the first day she got in there, she didn't know what to do. She's doing a little bit of everything. So here we are. We're going to talk a little bit about operating systems, applications, and networking.
Okay.
And I think you've probably used those things, but maybe you haven't really thought about what they are or how they work or whatnot. So we're going to go a little bit detail into those things if my slide progresses here. Okay. The second learning objective is to learn about MS Word, Google Suites, and zipping files. And the last learning objective for this week is communicating, collaborating, and learning on learning management systems online. So anyway, we talked about your computer basics self-assessment. That's really good to do not only once, but a couple of times. And I made notes the first time I went through it and then thought, wait a minute, I gotta, you know, I use these things, but if I was to actually explain it to somebody else or to describe what I'm doing or help somebody else, I need to know the terminology a little bit better. I think maybe that's what you found too, that you use these things, but you don't even know what they are or what the buttons do or what they're called. So, and part of knowing that terminology is part of computer literacy. I know that, you know, whatever field you're in, if it's business or if it's medicine or whatever, to be literate in that field, you have to know how to talk the talk besides walk the walk. And that's why we kind of go over these things. So the first thing we're going to go over is operating systems. And a computer needs an operating system to actually to work. Otherwise, how is a computer going to know what to display, what to do? And when computers first came out, there was limited number of operating systems. And one of the basic ones, it says, my internet connection is unstable. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. One of the basic ones was DOS. It was called DOS for Disk Operating System back when they had floppy drives. And it was not user-friendly. It was not click and do. It was, you had to type in a bunch of code to make the computer do anything. And they had a computer language that I learned back in the 70s called BASIC. And that was really difficult for the common person to even manipulate a computer, and there was no mouse back then. So you can see how it would have been when you were manipulating with arrow keys and code. But nowadays we're lucky. We have operating systems that can manage all of those different devices, and it's kind of like the brain of the whole computer system. Okay. Now, there's more operating systems than you think out there. I know that if you use a PC, you probably use Windows 10 by now. This graphic says Windows 7, but it's an old graphic. And if you use Mac, you use one of the operating systems. This one shows Mac OS Sierra. There was Yosemite, Maverick, all of those operating systems. Android phones have their own operating systems, and they call them weird things like Marshmallow and stuff, you know. And there's also some like generic type operating systems like Linux and Ubuntu. I'm not really sure how you say that. I've used it, but I don't know how to pronounce it. Ubuntu. But anyway, those are ones that you can use that are more generic. And I've never heard of HPUX, but I've used Linux. Have you used any other operating systems besides maybe the Mac or the Windows operating system,
No.
Claudia?
No.
No. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting when you get into those that you are aware that they're even there and that you know that there's other operating systems out there and that your computer should be compatible with the operating system you're using. I bought a computer about 3 years ago and I upgraded to Windows 10 from Windows 7. I skipped 8. I didn't want to deal with operating system 8. But I had a friend who bought a computer like 7 years ago, and she was still on Windows 7 when she tried to upgrade to 10. Her computer didn't work. It had all this stuff going on with it. So you have to remember to make sure that your specific model of computer is compatible with an upgrade before you do it. Otherwise, you have to reinstall the operating system, an older version. So that's a word to the wise here. Applications are fantastic. There are so many applications now compared to back in the old days. And when I say the old days, I got into computers when I was 13 years old. And I was only in 7th grade, and my math teacher gave me a book. He said, here, go, you know, you're good at math. Here's something to do on your spare time, Ruthie. Learn the basic computer language. And I did, and I used the DOS operating system and created my own programs back then. And I thought it was easy. I thought it was fun. But now things are a little more complicated. We have all kinds of applications on our phones, on our computer devices, and a lot of them behind the scenes, they actually use like spreadsheets of data that they pull, and that's how some of these programs work, which is really quite fascinating. Here's a little graphic about applications. And there's applications, there's widgets, there's all kinds of things that people program to make us be able to use the computer easily. Now, the thing I have found that drives a lot of these applications is money. And people will, because I do coding, people want to invent apps that people will buy, you know? And so I'm really amazed at how many wonderful apps are out there that nobody buys, but because they're not popular. Networking. Do you have any questions about computer networking? Because most people, and I'll include myself, at first I thought it was like magic that all this stuff is all connected together and all this information flows through. But there's actually a rhyme and reason to all of this networking that happens all over the world. So let me just explain a little bit about what I know about it, is that there are little, like I will call them like stations, where all the internet signals go through. And if one station is busy, then the signal will go to another station. So I live in Yucca Valley, California. So chances are my signal is going through LA and then going through some other, spot, and then maybe going to Washington, D.C. or whatever. Maybe going to San Francisco, then go to Washington, D.C. or whatever. But did you know that if those nodes are really busy, like the one in LA is really busy, my signal can go all the way to Japan and then back and then over to Washington, D.C. because everything happens so fast. And so it's really amazing to know how these work and how these pieces of data are put into these packets or clumps of information, and then they're sent through. And that's because if you sent one little bit of information through at a time, it would be like, in Star Trek where it says "Beam me up, Scotty." There'd be so many pieces everywhere, the data couldn't come back together in one spot. So it's really fascinating. And if you ever want to get into networking, people get paid big bucks for making everything work because there are a lot of snags in getting this to happen. Any questions on networking? Yeah, isn't that fascinating how it works? I mean, I had no idea until I really actually taught it to kids on how it worked. Okay, we're going to go through Learning Objective 3 about Word, Google Suites, and zipping files. I think most all of us have used the Word suite. Microsoft Word is one of the basic programs that people use to do word processing these days. Excel is a spreadsheet. PowerPoint is a presentation software. Outlook is like for communicating like email. OneNote is a place you can keep all your notes, your things, your images, whatever. Publisher, I used to make greeting cards with that. And Access. What is Access? I do not know. Do you know what Access is, Claudia?
No, I think I've used it some time ago, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I gotta look back at that. But they're powerful programs, and the disadvantage of these is that they cost so much. They really cost a lot of money. So I usually buy my Microsoft Word Suite with my computer. I get my computers at Costco usually, not to endorse any particular spot, but it's just, easier for me. And they have that free 2-year, you can call in for service. And so those are those. Now the G Suites are used in schools because they're free. And another thing is that it's very easy to collaborate with those. But more and more, I'm finding that businesses are using the G Suite. And they're using it for everything from Google Forms to take surveys to documents that employees can view to the email, all kinds of things, which are great. Even video conferencing with Google Hangouts. So that's a really important venue or platform to use is Google. Some people are a little bit leery about the security of Google, and I think you always have to be cautious anytime you're online, anytime you're working on a web-based product that, you don't want to say anything or publish anything that you wouldn't want, your grandmother to see or whatever, you really have to be careful and use it wisely. Now, zipping a file is really easy. All you have to do is you click on the file, you right-click on the file, and then it usually has a menu that comes up, the right-click menu, and one of them is compress. And you do it a little bit differently on a Mac or a PC, but it's very powerful because then you can compress the data in there, and it's more easily, you could send that data easily to somebody else. Now, some files get really big, and if the files get really, really too big, you can always share documents with people with tools like Dropbox. Have you ever heard of Dropbox? Dropbox is so common now, but it's really a great tool for that, and I've been using it for years. Let's go to CLO 5. It would be communicate, collaborate, and learn. And basically, we're communicating right now online. And I think that part of this class, it's really good that we have webinars so that you get in the practice of, doing webinars. But it's really become a new tool in the medical field. Since I live out in Yucca Valley, which is miles away from the nearest Kaiser hospital, I have Kaiser, they offer me video chats with doctors now. So I see the doctor in person, and I had to drive an hour and 15 minutes to see this doctor off the Highway 10. But then all other appointments I have with him, I can actually, get on a chat, and the Kaiser has their own platform for that. So I think that's really valuable way to use online collaboration. Businesses use it. All kinds of places use it. Now, I'm not really sure if you realize, but the United States University uses a learning management system, an LMS, and it's called Brightspace, or Desire to Learn. And so all your course material is actually in Brightspace, and it's a very good learning management system, but there's many, many more out there. One of the ones that I used to use is Blackboard. Many colleges use Blackboard, same kind of a thing. But it's really a place to put your content and to put your grades, and everything having to do with learning is right in one spot. Before they had learning management systems, we just would post websites for courses, and then we'd have another application for grades and everything, and that was really a hassle, but that's the way it was. Here I have how to communicate. Social networks is a way that a lot of people communicate. Video conferencing, I just talked about that. Audio conferencing, and VoIP, which is internet voice. Let's see, I think I'll stop the share. I think I don't have anything more here. So I'll stop this share and go to our course discussion. Let me share this over here. Let's see here. I want to discuss our discussion question. If I can find it. Okay, week 2 discussion question has to do with completing the computer basic self-assessment. And you're supposed to post the answers to these questions. I already had a student and say, where am I supposed to post the answers? Well, since this is a discussion post, you post in the discussion section. So you just copy and paste these questions into the discussion section and then just answer them. Okay. So is that clear to you, Claudia?
Yeah,
okay, good.
I think you're still recording. Oh.
Yes, I'm still recording. Yes,
okay.
that's okay.
Okay.
And zipping files. I have a couple links here on how to zip files, but basically I want to show you on my computer really quick so you know. So I'm going to do share screen. For some reason it's not letting me share screen right now. I'm not really sure why. Let's see here. Okay, I don't know what's going on with mine, but my connection is kind of zapped out right now. Okay. So let's see what I can do here. Okay. I have to refresh my thing. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
You can hear me, but my picture has kind of gone bad. Is my picture frozen?
It is.
It is frozen. So I might just end right now. I might just pause this recording. Or just wait till it comes back on. Let's see here. That's the thing about this web communication is sometimes the connection just doesn't go. So let me escape out of here and get back on here, do a little troubleshooting here and see what I could do. Let's see here. Maybe if I minimize this and maximize it out. It is not working. I don't know what is going on. Zoom is not responding. Well, I'll tell you what. I will cut the video off here. Once I get it on my computer, I'll cut it off here. So, Claudia, did you have any specific questions about what we discussed today, or about computer literacy, or the questions that you had for the discussion post?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay, good. I hope that you enjoy having a little bit of, person-to-person interaction on these online classes. I know when I took online courses at San Diego State University, I really look forward to having a little time to get to know the other students, and to, hear the professor views on certain things and ask questions. It really was valuable for me, and I felt that I learned a lot more by just having that little once a week kind of a communication. So I hope you feel that way too.
Yeah.
and that kind of helps you for whatever. If you notice, if when the time comes, Claudia, that you are in charge of doing a webinar and you're the host, it's really good to just keep talking because dead spots, people are like, well, what happened? Is she still there? You know, but the dead spots aren't so good. So I just try to keep talking and then ask every once in a while if you have any questions or whatever, because there is kind of a, what should I say, it takes a little experience to get to go on these webinars. And I'm not near a professional, but I've been doing it for years and I love doing it. So that's why I continue. Okay, with that, I'm going to say goodbye and I'll stop this recording now. I'll cut it off. Okay. So, you know, any questions that we had won't be on the webinar. So you have a good week, and you know you can always contact me via text, email, or give me a call. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Good night.
Good night.